Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another exciting episode with Nora Finch, with my very lovely professional background and my smock. I don't always get to wear this because I'm not always recording before work. One of my lovely smocks, very Asian. Thank you for listening. Again, 20 plus years holistic wellness, mental readiness coaching that I incorporated probably 15 years into my whole wellness when I realized the mental readiness coaching, when I realized how much of a people pleaser I was. And basically, since you only see me as I am sharing my journey of basically from introvert to more extroverted. I am definitely still and appreciate my solitude. I seem like I might be extroverted all of the time and just, I do talk a lot, but I also, yes, there's the other side. I guess I have seen the dark side. So that accounts for my resting bitch face sometimes. So this podcast, basically, I am here to help equip you with tools when it comes to personal empowerment and what that means and who cares and all of that. But basically, it's a result of learning that this was not in the home, that from media and society, kind of like a what the fuck's going on here. And my support systems to share with you all, like what helped me. There were no podcasts or anything like that. So my music was my support system. And the punk rock and hardcore scenes were a lot about, yes, we the people, individualism. Minor Threat was my favorite, and Fugazi. And then, so Ian Mackay and Henry actually were both, Henry Rollins I interviewed. And I never thought I'd have them on my show. So you can go and check them out on Spotify and Pandora. I don't mention them every show. But basically them being in that scene, a part of my whole, a lot of the roots of who have helped, shape me and then into adulthood is basically the freedoms to be who we are and live the lives that we want to have happier and fulfilling lives. Okay. I do know the balance of the dark and the light. I do know, I guess if you want to say how to transmute it or to utilize it. And I learned to think more positively when I was younger, and I just learned it to become a lifestyle. I'm always flipping the negative to the positive. I also have not gone into my shows talking deeply, while I've done a few of them, on how we are creators, how that makes sense, how your mind makes things. And I think nowadays, especially with the newer generation, the younger generation, because there's so much information out there, they are probably utilizing this nowadays, right? Your thoughts make things, right? What you think about, you bring about. I'll say that over and over again. And I have not dived deep into, especially over the past maybe 8 years, how quickly certain things come to me. So getting into this topic, it never gets old for me, people, to talk about assertiveness, because there's always an example around me. Okay, so today what I want to talk about, why this got inspired, and again, why this makes me laugh. But let's start. I'm going to give you the example because this is about somebody, a coworker. We were talking about how like gross, nasty guys like always are hitting on her and forcing her basically to speak up. Is that intimate things that happen to us in our life that we don't always share, and it doesn't have to be assault or all these very, very deep, serious things, that we don't share. It could be like the example that I'm going to give you. And I look at it like, and I also look at it as like, we don't have to. You don't feel forced or obligated or whatever it is, unless it's affecting your relationship on a negative level, that you have to share every little piece, especially if you're not sure that they will be empathetic or understand. I've said this before. I don't expect people to understand me. They don't have to understand me. I think I've wanted to explain a lot. I think I still do that sometimes, but my mindset is different around it, right? All I can do is share my stories, share the person I've become. I know that I like a lot of different things. I'm very diverse, even in certain things that I wear that could be confusing to some because we're used to putting people in boxes. Oh, she likes punk rock music or whatever. She should look like this, or she should do that, or she can't wear that with whatever. It doesn't make sense. How are you wearing a Mary pendant with like Buddha? Like, there's things that are contradictions. And I did the same thing too with my mom. So that's for another show. But why I want to give the example is that sometimes too, we don't share. Okay, there's different reasons that we don't share. And possibly it could be fear, right? Fear of judgment, fear of whatever it is, blaming us for getting in a situation or whatever it is. And that's, whatever, you're dumb for putting up with that, right? But I still look at, for instance, in my situations, it was because I was shy. So I wouldn't even tell somebody my stories, the one I'm going to give you here. I think I wouldn't have known who to ask. I think that's what it was. Okay. So this conversation came up again, is that she was saying, we were talking about, I was like, oh, whatever, like who comes in here or whatever, any cute guys in the grocery store or whatever. Dumb, right? Dumb. Because I'm just like, whatever, what's going on in small town? And she said, oh, all the gross, like creepy guys always hit on me, and they're very, not only they're direct and forward, like they're very pushy. And she's like, isn't that weird that I keep attracting that? And I'm like, not really. I think it's just lessons in you deciding if you want to grow the balls to say something or not. And she's like in her 70s, right? And she's like, yeah, and I am now, because I had, got the manager involved. Whatever. And I was like, okay, good for you. Okay, so it reminded me of this situation. People might say it's a maturity thing. I don't necessarily agree with that, as far as like you'll just learn with maturity, because some people don't. When you're shy and you're used to being a people pleaser, like you don't want to sound like a bitch, uh I it could maybe be maturity, but unless you grow some cojones, right, or learn some verbal skills, uh, you might not ever learn to do this. Okay, so she's got it all down now, I guess. So this reminded me though of, I went to a friend's house, and you might say, oh, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you do this or this, right? The judging and the blaming. Why are you putting up with that? Why didn't you speak up? Why, tell them to fuck off? I'm like, okay, I wouldn't do that anyway. And I don't aggressively, if I was going to be direct, now that I've learned, right? Nonviolent communication, how to speak up. How would I talk to somebody on the street? How would I do this and that? After I learned some kick-ass skills from Richie Grannon, go look him up. He still, I think, has his Street Fight Secrets website up, because now he's really honing in and focusing a lot more on his other specialties with narcissistic abuse and all his trainings from the women that he's dated. And there's just certain things I wouldn't do. That's why I loved Krav Maga and self-defense so much, because there were just different things I could do and feel strong and execute. And I said this before, like I just thought it was dumb, like back in the day, people dressing up in the suit, and like the victim or whatever would be like, no, stop, I don't like that. Like, I'm not going to talk like that. So I just learned so many things, especially from Richie, who used to be a bouncer. Okay, so I was at a friend's house, and this guy would not, this Jamaican guy, he would not let up. And whether it wasn't necessarily sexual things, but it was definitely comments and things that were making me uncomfortable, and not so much in my personal space, but I mean, we were close enough to being like, it was uncomfortable, and he kept doing it. And I never said anything. And I don't even know where my friend was, and anything. And it might have been when I was training or not, but when I lacked the words, it wasn't as like, why didn't I say, let's change the subject, or I'd appreciate, this is uncomfortable, and again, you're shy, like, I'd appreciate you to stop doing that, if you could stop doing that. Like, I wouldn't have even said that. Like, this is just weird and too much formal, too many words, right? And too formal. So there are so many things that I could have done knowing what I know now, and it was really out of shyness. I'm sure, yes, there was fear in the sense of, I don't want to make him mad because he's not being mean about it. He's just being direct. He probably thought he was funny, and he wanted to make it known that he wanted to have something, whatever, romantic, or not even romantic, maybe just wanted to bang. So, and I was not interested. So I'm sure that I was married to, like, and he knew that, or who even knows. But the point of the story is, I was not interested. So how do you shut it down? Well, it's a lot easier to do it now. I also can appear, and sometimes I'm talking very loud, especially when I'm on the phone, or passionate about something, but sometimes I won't. I have always been very quiet, people, like, until like probably 23. And even still back then, I would still say I was kind of, timid and soft spoken. And me learning how to voice, how to perform when it's not your personality, is really weird and awkward. I felt like one of those, feel like one of those people on stage. Like, I can't fake things that aren't me. So learning how to do that was awkward, which is why it was always weird to say, nice to meet you, or I appreciate you, like with my coffee people, or telling somebody that I love them. Like, whatever. My dad didn't say that. My mom, with all the narcissism and everything, would say it all the time, but I was never able to say it. Even if I feel it, of course, but saying it, it was a problem. And so, shyness, just like the please and thank you growing up. My stepmom instilled all of that in me, but I was always annoyed and embarrassed. So, what I want to say to end this segment is that, number one, this is the personal journey, right? Intimate things that happen to us that we don't share. And if you want to share, go ahead. Be discerning of who you share to, because sometimes, like I said, people would say something such as, right, tell them to fuck off. Why didn't you tell them to stop? Why didn't you speak up? Why didn't you do this or that? It's like, okay, I am not here to get reprimanded in asking for help of like what to do in this situation. You could even still coach me in the situations of like, well, if it's needed and you need to get aggressive with them, be ready to do that. And who cares if you sound like a bitch, right? Sometimes it's needed. But those weren't a lot of the situations. A lot of the times, these certain things that would happen, and the whole personal space thing, was like somebody that you would know, right? Somebody you're working with, somebody in the restaurant service, somebody who's like, they're not a friend, like I said, coworker. Maybe they're not a friend, and they're just getting too close, and you don't like it and you feel uncomfortable. Like, what can you say to still be like, I came up with, I know in one of my episodes I was saying, depending, right, on your level of talking and communicating with that person, is like, do you know what personal space is? Like, there's so many things, and I know I'm smiling like that, but that's making a joke, right? But recognition, and then following up and repeating like a broken record. Like, there's a way to approach people like in a gentler way. And if you study and are willing to develop the skills, sometimes, of course, you can learn them within, let's look at the time, sorry, within life and your circumstance. But I never ended up learning. And so I had definitely in my life been in situations with other people, not that it's been that many, but they've either been in my personal space, said some certain things, or whatever it was that made things awkward. And I was like, yeah, what the fuck do I do about this? Like, how anything? And so, like a lot of us that are older, yes, life experience will kind of either not only keep bringing you the lessons, but life experience will just show you in different aspects, right? Are you going to do shit? Like, are you going to say something? Are you going to sit there? How are you going to walk your way out of this? How are you going to talk your way out of this? What, and what's your, and the stronger and confident you feel in your actions and executing them, the freer and happier you will feel, because you are going to feel like, I got this. Like, don't fuck with me, right? We're going to say that. Don't fuck with me. I got this. And you go into these situations feeling powerful and positive. Also, once you've studied human behavior, you're going to really feel stronger that you can do life, you can handle yourself. And that's what it's about when I talk about personal freedom, people, is that somebody may not always be there for you to ask them, what do I do? Or whatever it is, right? Or shit's got to get done, that saying, like, you got to handle yourself in that situation, in that moment. Like, what are you going to do? And so I love having more and more skills that are going to help me feel like a badass and that I can handle my own, whatever. Of course, it's great to have a protector, somebody that will stand up for you. But sometimes that is few and far between, people. It's already very rare to find somebody who loves you as much as you do, who is caring and does things with not asking for anything in return, and all those sorts of things. It's very rare. So, just being able to know you can hold your own and do life, that to me is to live the life that you want. What? Right? Not one defined by society, who we should be, act, feel, whatever. You're not supposed to act like that. You're not supposed to do that. Whatever the thing is, going back to my other segment on the fear and love. Are you going to walk and move through life from a place of fear or love? Does fear make you feel weak or strong? Dumb question. Dumb, right? Simple. I want to live in fear. Like, I don't know that people would admit that, right? But I don't think people would admit that or want that, but maybe it helps them too, right? In some sort of way. I'd have to think of an example of how that keeps them safe. But what happens is the benefit, I guess, is you avoid conflict. You don't have to address anything. You don't have to rock the boat. You don't have to overcome certain things about yourself. It's nice to stay in the trench, or we won't call it a trench, but it's nice to stay where you're at. Again, right? You don't need a lot of challenges. And so I guess I should start that list, right? What are the pros of staying in fear? But for me personally, I don't like that feeling. And yes, I still have those feelings regarding a lot of different things, but I didn't come up with that list for today. Okay, my beautiful people, I will see you in the next video. And I think that's about it for today. I've done like 2 videos now, equaling about 40 minutes. So I'm about gassed out. I will try to record shorter videos, which I want to, regarding, again, like daily things that come up that I actually just need to record them on the spot, so my collection of naps don't build up. And again, talk about daily things, daily bullshit, daily thoughts, and how every day is different. Like I said before, every day is different in feeling happiness or feeling inspired or feeling motivated. Like, I should have recorded my other show last night that I wanted to talk about, the fear and love. I should have done it yesterday because I was on a roll. But anyway, sometimes it just becomes so exhausting mentally and draining. Of probably what it means is that I should be writing, is what it means. Writing about all of the things, and that will relieve the stress. Okay, so thanks for listening. Hope that helped you, okay, on some sort of level. And I'll meet you in the next video. Okay, bye.